Hello, my name is Ritu Basak. I'm BTech second year student from JJSIP New Delhi. So today we are going to discuss the second part of the chapter electoral politics. Here we are discussing social studies subject political science of CBSE board class 9th. So let's continue with this second part. In the first part, we discussed the different methods of elections in India, constitutive legislative assemblies, MLA, MPs, and main terms that are used. What kind of promotions the party is allowed, the election commission, what is election commission, different types of legislative assemblies, reserved categories, and all. So now let's continue with the second part. So the continuation, the top showing continuation of the first part. Our topic is first topic is independent election commission. So IEC. So in our country, elections are conducted by an independent and very powerful election commission. Okay, as we all know, India's election commission. The chief election commissioner (CEC) is appointed directly by the President of India. But once appointed, the CEC is not answerable to the President or any government. Okay, so the relation between the CEC, that is Chief Election Commissioner, is until and unless he is appointed by the President. After that, he is not answerable to neither the President nor the government. Okay. So basically, the elections are conducted in India by the Election Commission. Okay, and it is an independent and very powerful commission. It is headed by the Chief Election Commissioner. So the next topic in continuation to it is the roles and duties of EC and the code of conduct of elections. So the EC, that is Election Commission, takes decision on every aspect of conduct and control of elections, from the announcement of elections to the declaration of result. Okay, so they are basically the main head body under which the elections are being conducted fairly. Under them, the elections are being conducted. The parties have to submit the forms under election commissioner. Fair elections are being checked by the EC. Result counting and vote counting is done by the EC. Security is being handled by EC, and all the polling booths are being controlled directly under the EC. So I hope you understood the role of the EC in elections in India. So some main points of EC and their work are: it implicates the code of conduct, as we discussed in the earlier part. What is the code of conduct for ideal elections and the parties? It punishes any candidate or party that violates the rules. During the election period, the EC, that is the Election Commission, can order the government to follow certain guidelines. They can ask for favors to prevent use and misuse of governmental power, and also they check whether the election parties and the government officials are working properly. When on election duty, government officials work under directly the EC and not under any government. When election officials come to the opinion that polling was not fair in some booths or even an entire constituency, they can order a repoll. So they have a right of calling a repoll when they find that under certain constituency the rules are not followed properly. So the next topic is popular participation, by which we mean that the more the number of people vote, the better outcome we get as a majority. Okay, so people's participation is very important in election. It is usually measured by the voter turnout figures. Each year means each voting year, like after 5 years, each vote happens and the turnout is being calculated. In India, the poor, the illiterate, and the underprivileged people vote in larger proportion as compared to the rich and privileged sections. Okay, so this contrasts the Western democracies. So basically, it shows that the mass participation is from the poor people, and poor people and underprivileged people are the larger proportion who vote and choose the government. So common people in India attach a lot of importance to elections. They feel by this way they're directly choosing the government and play a important hand in choosing their government and choosing whom they would be ruled by. The interest of voters in election-related activities have been increasing over the years due to more and more campaigns and rise in awareness amongst the people. The interest of voters, out of every 7 voters, 1 is a member of a political party. Okay, according to the survey. Next, what is the outcome of voting and popular participation under EC and its guidelines? So the outcome is that ruling parties routinely lose elections in India, both at national and state level. In fact, every 2 out of 3 elections held in last 15 years, the ruling party lost. So it means that after every 5 or 10 years, the government is changed by mass election. That is, there is no stagnancy in government and it keeps on changing. As soon as the party loses interest amongst the people, the party is being changed, majority voted by the people. In the US, that is in the United States, an incumbent or sitting elected representative rarely loses an election. In India, about half of the sitting MPs or MLA lose election, which shows that the people are very moody and they change according to the people who work. And if the candidates do not work for them, then immediately they are being thrown out of the power and seat. Candidates who are known to have spent a lot of money on buying votes and those with criminal offenses often lose elections. So fair election is always a better election method. Bearing very few disputed elections, the electoral outcomes are usually accepted as people's verdict by defeated party. Okay. So this is about the outcome of the voting and the election process. So now the major challenge that the EC and the people face under the government, so the government officials face, are conducting a free and fair elections. By free and fair election means the corruption-less and clean and clear election where the people are the ones who choose directly, not by the government or not by money, not by power. Nothing can influence them. Then such election is known as free and fair election. So the basic points are candidates and parties with lot of money may not be sure of the victory, but they do enjoy big unfair advantage over smaller parties and independents. For example, we can say in rallies they use more power and more procession is being done in the rallies. So people are obviously influenced by the one in power and the one who gives better and bigger challenges and promises. Obviously, in some parts of the country, candidates with criminal connection have been able to push others out of the electoral race and to secure a ticket from major parties. This happens in some of the cases, but mostly in India, under the election commission, fair elections are being conducted. Some people tend to dominate political party tickets and are distributed. Some parties distribute tickets to relatives from their families or the people who they know or to their friends. So this is unfair. So these are the challenges that we face in India. Very often elections offer little choice to ordinary citizens for like each other both in policies and practice. Smaller parties and independent candidates suffer a huge disadvantage compared to the bigger parties due to the same reasons mentioned above, show of power and power of money. So that's all for this chapter. I hope you all understood the election process, how it is being dealt in India, in our nation, on a state level, on a legislative level, and on a national level. What are the rules of election commission and what work and what challenges they face while conducting a safe, free, and fair elections. Thank you.